My boyfriend texted me 4 words that ended our 3-year relationship. Don't freak out, okay? I stared at the screen of my phone, my heart skipping a beat. Whenever someone tells you not to freak out, they have already done something that gives you every right to lose your mind. Then the second text came. I lost your laptop. My ex, Chloe, borrowed it for a few hours and someone swiped it from her car. I'll make it up to you, I promise. I didn't reply. I couldn't. I felt the air leave my lungs. That laptop wasn't just a piece of plastic and metal. I'm a freelance architectural designer. My entire life, my active blueprints, my client contracts, my tax records for the last 5 years, and the final 3D renders for a $60,000 project due in 48 hours was on that hard drive. And he gave it to Chloe, the woman he told me not to worry about, the woman who just needed a friend after her latest breakup. Drop a comment and let me know where you're listening from and what time it is for you right now. I love seeing how far our community reaches. Stick around, because this isn't just a story about a lost computer. It's a story about a man who thought I was a safety net he could step on, and the moment he realized I was actually the one holding up his entire world. You're going to see exactly how a quiet woman handles a man who mistakes her kindness for weakness. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. My name is Talia. I'm 29 years old. For 3 years, I supported Mark. When we met, he was a struggling consultant, which is code for unemployed. I paid the security deposit on our apartment. I paid for the groceries. I even paid for the suit he wore to the interview for the job he has now. I didn't mind. I thought we were a team. I thought I was investing in our future, but Mark had a habit of helping Chloe. Chloe was helpless. Chloe was clumsy. Chloe was everything I wasn't. I was the strong one, the one who had her life together, and because I was strong, Mark felt like he could take from me to give to her. I walked into our apartment an hour after the text. Mark was sitting on the couch looking at his phone. He didn't even stand up. Hey, he said, his voice casual. You got my text. Look, I know it's annoying, but Chloe is devastated. She feels so bad. She was just using it to update her resume at a coffee shop, and why did she have my laptop, Mark? I asked. My voice was very quiet. My hands were shaking in my pockets. Her MacBook broke and she had a big interview, he said, finally looking up. He looked annoyed, like I was being difficult. I knew you were at the office all day, so I grabbed yours from the desk. It's just a thing, Talia. Insurance will cover it. I'll buy you a new one next month. The Porter project is on that laptop, Mark, I said. The deadline is Thursday. If I don't turn those files in, I lose the contract. I might get sued for breach of contract. That laptop is worth more than your car. Mark rolled his eyes. You're always so dramatic. Just call the client and ask for an extension. They like you. It's not a big deal. At that moment, I looked at the man I thought I would marry. I saw the way he looked at me with a mix of boredom and pity. He didn't care that he had put my career in danger. He cared that Chloe got to update her resume. He had stolen from me to play hero for her. Where is she? I asked. Who? Chloe, she's at her place. She's too upset to talk. Just leave it alone for tonight, okay? I didn't say another word. I turned around, walked out of the apartment, and got into my car. But I didn't go to Chloe's house. I knew Chloe. Chloe didn't lose things. Chloe took things. I drove to a quiet parking lot and opened my iPad. I'm a risk manager by nature and an architect by trade. I'm obsessed with backups and security. Mark knew I had a password on the laptop, but he didn't know I had installed a very specific Find My Device software that was separate from the standard OS. It was a hidden professional-grade tracker. I logged in. My heart was pounding against my ribs. The laptop wasn't at a coffee shop. It wasn't in a police evidence locker. It was moving. It was currently located at a high-end wine bar downtown. I felt a coldness wash over me. I drove there. I parked across the street and waited. 10 minutes later, I saw them. Chloe walked out of the bar. She was wearing a dress I recognized, one of mine that had gone missing 2 months ago. She looked happy. She was laughing. And in her hand, she was carrying my leather laptop sleeve. But she wasn't alone. Mark walked out behind her. Wait. Mark was supposed to be at home. He had told me he was on the couch. He must have jumped out the back door or left right after I did. He put his arm around her waist and kissed her cheek. I watched as he opened the passenger door of his car for her. She slid inside, still holding my laptop. They weren't devastated. They were celebrating. I sat in the dark of my car, feeling like my entire life was a lie. He hadn't lent her the laptop. He had given it to her because she probably liked the high-end specs for her influencer side. Hustle. They told me it was stolen so I wouldn't ask for it back. They were going to let me lose my career so Chloe could have a shiny new toy. I followed them at a distance. They didn't go back to our apartment. They went to a hotel. I sat in the parking lot for 3 hours. I didn't cry. I think I was past crying. I felt like an auditor looking at a business that was completely bankrupt. There was no saving this. There was only liquidating the assets. I realized then that Mark had been using my money for a long time to fund this double life. The work trips he took, probably paid for by our joint credit card. The car repairs he needed, my money. I looked at my iPad again. Since the laptop was open and connected to the hotel Wi-Fi, I had full remote access. I could see what she was doing. I opened the remote screen view. Chloe wasn't updating a resume. She was on a luxury travel site. She was booking a vacation to Mexico. Using my saved Chrome profile, using my saved credit card information. She was clicking confirm purchase for a $5,000 resort stay using my money on my laptop while my boyfriend was likely in the shower 10 feet away from her. I took a deep breath. My finger hovered over the wipe device button. I could erase everything. I could destroy the laptop right now. But if I did that, I'd lose my blueprints too. And I'd lose my evidence. I needed to be smarter. I needed to be the architect of his downfall. I spent the next 6 hours sitting in my car, working from my iPad. I remotely locked my credit cards first. I saw the transaction declined notification pop up on the laptop screen in real time. Chloe tried the card again. Declined. She tried Mark's card, the one I paid the balance on every month. I locked that one. 2, declined. Then I started downloading. I moved all my project files to a secure cloud server. Once my work was safe, I started looking through the other files on the computer. I found a folder hidden inside a system gallery. It was titled Portfolio. It wasn't a portfolio. There were thousands of screenshots. Mark had been taking screenshots of my bank accounts, my investment portfolios, and even my private business emails. He was planning something. He wasn't just cheating. He was studying my finances. He was looking for a way to take more than just a laptop. I found a draft of a document. It was a power of attorney form. He had tried to forge my signature on a document that would give him total control over my business accounts in case of an emergency. The betrayal went so deep I could feel it in my bones. He was waiting for me to have a breakdown. He was waiting for the Porter project to fail so I would be vulnerable. He wanted me to lose my mind so he could step in and manage everything. I felt a grim smile spread across my face. Mark thought he knew me. He thought I was the stable one who would just cry and buy a new laptop. He forgot that my job is to manage risk, and he was now the biggest risk in the room. I started my own confirmations. I sent an email to our landlord. We were on a month-to-month lease now. I gave my 30-day notice and paid the full month's rent from our joint account, emptying it to exactly $0. Then I called Mark's boss. You see, Mark's boss, Mr. Henderson, was a client of mine before he ever hired Mark. I was the one who recommended Mark for the job. I called Mr. Henderson's private cell. It was late, but he answered. Talia, is everything okay? Not really, Bill, I said. My voice was steady. I'm calling because I'm doing a security audit of my professional equipment. I realized that a laptop containing sensitive architectural data was taken from my home. I tracked it, and I've discovered it's currently being used to access some of your company's private servers. There was a long silence. Bill Henderson was a man who obsessed over data security. What? Who has it? Mark has it, I said, and he's currently with a third party, a woman named Chloe. They are using the device in a public hotel. I'm concerned that your firm's internal payroll data might be compromised since Mark has his login credentials saved on my device. I wasn't lying. Mark did have his work login saved, and Chloe was using the laptop. I'll handle it, Bill said. His voice was like ice. Thank you for telling me, Talia. I'm sorry. I hung up. Part 1 was done. Next, I went to our apartment. I worked quickly. I didn't take everything. I only took what was mine. I packed my clothes, my specialized tools, and my documents. I left his clothes. I left the furniture I had paid for. I didn't want the memories attached to the wood, but I did one more thing. Mark's car, the one I paid the insurance and the monthly note on, was technically in my name. I had done it that way because his credit was too poor to get a decent interest rate. He had been paying me back in cash, or so he said, but he was always short. I called a 24-hour towing service. I have a vehicle I need to repossess, I told them. I have the title and the spare key. It's currently parked at the downtown Grand Hotel. While the tow truck was on its way, I sat on the floor of my empty bedroom and wrote a letter. Not a long one, not a sad one, just a list. A list of every cent I had spent on him in 3 years. $42,000 in rent, $18,000 in car payments, $12,000 in travel. The total was over $80,000. At the bottom, I wrote, "You said the laptop was just a thing. You said I was dramatic, so I'm simplifying my life. I'm removing all the things that don't belong to me, including you." I left the letter on the kitchen counter. Next to it, I placed the engagement ring he had given me last Christmas. I had found the receipt for it a few months ago. He hadn't paid for it. He had put it on a store credit card that was in my name. He hadn't even made the first payment. I had been paying for my own engagement ring for 6 months. I walked out of the apartment and locked the door. I drove back to the hotel. I wanted to see it. I arrived just as the tow truck was hooking up Mark's car. I stayed in the shadows. A few minutes later, the hotel doors swung open. Mark and Chloe ran out. Mark was in his undershirt and jeans. Chloe was wrapped in a hotel robe, clutching my laptop to her chest like a shield. "Hey, stop!" Mark yelled at the tow driver. "That's my car." The driver didn't even look at him. "The owner called it in, buddy. Paperwork is solid." "I'm the owner," Mark screamed. "Not according to the DMV," the driver said, slamming the door and pulling away. Mark stood in the middle of the parking lot, barefoot, as his car disappeared around the corner. Chloe stood behind him, looking confused and shivering. Then Mark's phone rang. He answered it. Even from across the street, I could hear the shouting. It was Bill Henderson. Mark's face went from red to ghostly white. He started stuttering. "Bill, no, it's not. I can explain. Chloe was just no, wait." He stared at the phone as Bill hung up on him. He had just been fired. In the span of 10 minutes, he had lost his car and his career. But I wasn't done. Chloe opened the laptop. She was probably trying to find a way to call an Uber since their cards were declined and the car was gone. As soon as she opened the lid and it hit the Wi-Fi, I sent the final command from my iPad. The screen of the laptop didn't just go black. I had set a custom lock screen message that would trigger upon the wipe command. On the screen, in bright red letters, it said, "Property of TALIA. Remote wipe in progress. Theft report filed with police. GPS coordinates broadcasting now." Chloe screamed and dropped the laptop on the pavement. Mark scrambled to pick it up, but it was too late. The internal drive was encrypting and erasing. Everything Chloe had been working on, all her photos, her resume, her travel plans, was gone. And all of Mark's evidence he had gathered against me was vaporized. I put my car in gear and slowly drove past them. I rolled down my window. The cool night air felt amazing. Mark saw me. Our eyes met. The look of pure, unadulterated terror on his face was better than any "I'm sorry" he could ever offer. "Talia," he choked out. He started to run toward my car. "Talia, wait, we can talk about this. It was a mistake. Chloe made me do it." Chloe's head snapped toward him. "I made you do what? You told me she gave it to you." I didn't stop. I didn't even tap the brakes. I just looked at him and said, "Don't freak out, Mark. It's just a thing." I drove away. I spent the next 2 days at a nice hotel near my client's office. I finished the Porter project using my backups. I turned it in 4 hours early. The client was so impressed they gave me a 20% bonus for exceptional reliability. I changed my phone number. I moved my remaining money to a private bank. I let my lawyer handle the rest. A week later, I got a message on my old email. It was from Mark's sister. She told me that Mark was staying on her couch. He had no car, no job, and he was being investigated for corporate data theft. Chloe had left him the morning after the hotel incident. Apparently, she didn't settle for men without cars or bank accounts. She had actually tried to sue Mark for leading her on regarding my finances. But here is the part that no one saw coming. The part that made the silence in my new apartment feel like a victory. About a month later, I was cleaning out the digital cloud files I had pulled from the laptop. I found a subfolder I had missed in my initial rush. It wasn't under Portfolio. It was hidden in the system's trash bin, but it hadn't been emptied yet. It was a series of audio recordings. Mark had been recording our conversations in the apartment for months. He wanted to find proof that I was mentally unstable so he could use that power of attorney. I played the last recording. It was from the night he lost the laptop. In the recording, you can hear Mark and Chloe in our kitchen. I wasn't home. "She's going to be so mad," Chloe says, giggling. "Let her be mad," Mark replies. His voice sounded different, meaner. "She's got plenty of money. She's like a machine, Chloe. She just works and pays bills. She doesn't even know how to enjoy life. Once the Porter project fails, she'll have a meltdown. I'll tell the doctors she's been depressed. I'll take over the accounts to protect her. We'll be in Cabo by the end of the month, and she'll be in a facility getting help. It's actually a favor to her. She needs a break. I sat there, listening to them laugh about committing me to a mental institution so they could steal my life's work. I didn't send that recording to the police. I didn't send it to his family. I sent it to Chloe's new boyfriend. I had seen her Instagram from a burner account. She was already dating a high-level executive at a tech firm. I sent the audio file with a simple note. Mark and Chloe like to plan vacations using other people's money. You might want to check your laptop. Within 2 hours, Chloe's new boyfriend had scrubbed her from his life. He was a powerful man, much more powerful than Mark, and he made sure Chloe was blacklisted from every influencer agency in the city. Mark is still on his sister's couch. He tried to file for unemployment, but since he was fired for potential data breach, it was denied. He owes me $12,000 for the credit card debt he ran up in my name. My lawyer is making sure his wages are garnished for the next 10 years. I'm currently sitting on the balcony of a new apartment. It's smaller, but it's mine. The only things inside are things I chose. There is no fine print in my life anymore. I learned that being the strong one doesn't mean you have to carry everyone else. It means you have the strength to drop them when they try to pull you down. Sometimes when I'm working late on my new, even better laptop, I think about that text. Don't freak out. I didn't freak out, Mark. I just audited the rot. And I found out that without me, you weren't settling. You were nothing. Thank you for listening to my story. If there's one thing I want you to take away, it's this. Never let someone make you feel small just because they are afraid of how big you are. Your worth isn't a thing someone can lend or lose. It's yours. If you enjoyed this, please hit the like button and subscribe for more stories of justice. It really helps the channel grow. Have you ever had a don't freak out moment that changed everything? Let me know in the comments. I read as much as I can. Until next time, stay sharp and take care of yourselves.